Now, regarding the Great Schism, it should not be viewed. It had happened finally in 1054, but it was a chain of events. You need to understand that first. It is a chain of events that happened across so many years, and it was you should not view that it happened only at one point of time 1054. This was happening from many years. Okay, so this divide is not a result of one quarrel in the church. Okay, that you need to understand first. And then it is not true that after many centuries of peace, suddenly, on account of one dispute, the Christian community, they fell apart. It is not that. From you will see later that so many councils were called. We had discussed the fourth council, that is Council of Chalcedon. Before that, there were Council of Nicaea, and then the second council at Constantinople, Ephesus, and then the fourth one was the Chalcedon. So many times this council was called to resolve peacefully all the matters pertaining to the spiritual Christianity aspects, the sacraments, and different churches had different ways, and they were following a different ways. So it was confusion altogether. Okay, so we will come to this third point right now. So rather than the craze of communication caused by long festering anger and bad feelings, so because bishops whose decision were not passed, they had frustration and they had angers and bad feeling within themselves. This hundreds of bishops would suddenly break away from the union with their chief, and if all because if a certain aspect is not passed at the synod, they were banished, excommunicated from the uh, Christian fraternity. So they had bad feelings, bishops who were removed from the synod. Okay, so a great schism is the result of a gradual process. It had happened along the years. As I said, it started from nine the year uh, 330 and till 1054. There were many problems in between 3 AD 330 and AD 1054, and 1054 was the final year. After that, the church got divided into two, and it was divided, as I said earlier, into Western Church and the Eastern Church. So we will be discussing four aspects right now. The fifth, icon controversy, we will be discussing in the later slide. There is a controversy regarding the icons that we will be discussing later. Right now we will be discussing the word languages. You can see the language, the factors affecting the factors or the disagreements that led to the schism in the church. The first primary aspect is that the West spoke Latin. Okay, they were Latin churches primarily. There are other churches also. Okay, primarily they are Latin churches, so they predominantly spoke only Latin, and the East spoke only Greek. That was the first problem, language problem. Then you can see the second problem was regarding the authority. You can see in the East, Bible was the final authority. In the Eastern churches, according to the Bible, the script was read, and according to the Bible, the decisions were interpreted, and the final actions or final decision they used to make. But in the West, you can see the Pope used to interpret the Bible, and he used to make his own decisions. Okay, that caused many problems. Then divorce began. The Eastern Patriarch allowed divorces, but the Western Pope, okay, the Western Church's head, Pope, he forbid. Okay, he forbid the divorce. So he did not accept, okay, divorces to happen. Whereas the Eastern counterpart, Eastern Patriarch or the Eastern Bishop, they used to call Patriarch, he used to allow divorces. And one more thing is that marriage of orthodox priest could marry, and Catholic priests they could not. Okay, so these are the four disputes. Okay, the fifth dispute regarding icon we will be discussing in the later side. As I said earlier, we had Eastern churches had icons. Icons, in short, it is painting or any images drawn on a canvas, maybe tiles or on the walls. Um, it is basically paintings. And whereas Western churches used to make, you can see over here, sculptures. They used to make this. You can see sculptures are made, idols are made. Okay, they used to make that, but Eastern churches used to make such kind of images. So you can see the images of Mother Mary, Jesus Christ. Here also Mother Mary drawn on a canvas. Here also Saint Paul is there. So this is the picture of Last Supper. Okay, so all these are diagrams or paintings. So it is called icons. So these icons, religious images, okay, of saint or maybe Jesus Christ or maybe Saint Mary, they were uh, they were scenes of crucifixion also. You can see crucifixion. So there were primarily dispute between this also. Okay, West used to make uh, monuments like this, big structures, idols. Okay, and idols you can see over here. Okay, so, while the term is closely associated to the wooden panel or painting, so Byzantine icons, you can see Byzantine churches used to make paintings. Okay, Byzantine in a sense Eastern. Eastern churches were called Byzantine also because the capital later on Constantine was known as Byzantine. Byzantine. Okay, so that is why we use Byzantine. Byzantine is for Eastern churches. They crafted this. They used to make marble, ivory, and gemstone, precious. They used to make paintings on precious metal, enamel, and so on and so forth. So basically, the difference was between here Western churches used to make idols and Eastern churches used to make paintings. Okay, that is the basic difference. Now, later on in 1730, Emperor Leo III banned the use of icons. Okay, he banned the use of icons, and one pope was uh, ordered excommunication by the Byzantine Empire. There was some dispute between the Byzantine Empire, the Byzantine Empire in the sense the Constantinople Emperor who was managing all affairs from the Constantinople. He had some dispute with the Church of Western Church. So Western Church, Rome in Rome, Pope was sitting. So there were some differences between them, and one Western Church Pope ordered excommunication means removal outside the church. So he once removed Byzantine emperor also. So there were many disputes and quarrels. Um, Bishop used to randomly remove the head. The emperor is the head of that particular Roman Empire. And there were iconoclasts also, those who opposed icons. They saw that icons as religious practice of idolatry. Okay, and there were disputes continued. These were disputes lingering till 1054, and everything blew up once. And you can see once the pope is the head of the Western Church, and patriarch the head of the Eastern Church, they excommunicated each other. They excommunicated each other in sense there was some quarrel between these two due to the dispute between these sacraments and other things. So they excommunicated, they removed one another. Excommunication from the church. Excommunication in a sense, removal from the church. Thereafter, the Christian church split, and they split into two groups. One was the Roman Catholic Church, and the other Orthodox Church. Okay. Now, the causes of the division we will discuss. The church got divided into Eastern and the Western Church. The Catholic Church stood with the Western. Roman Catholic Church stood with the Western faction. There was a group of Western who were supporting Rome. So Roman Catholic Church stood with the people who were sitting in Rome, and the Orthodox Church, they stood with the Eastern Church. So our Eastern Church went with the Constantinople side, and the Western Church uh, was supported by the Roman Catholic Church. So there were many changes in faiths and rituals, both of Orthodox and Western. There was no commonality. Everything was different. Then there were political differences. There were political differences in a sense. Rome used to administer differently, and Eastern churches, Constantinople used to administer differently. So there were many political differences. Okay. Then the Pope and the patriarchs were hungry for the power. They were so much hungry that they didn't want the power to go from their hands. And there is controversy of Philocue. Philocue was a controversy that made the split. Okay, and the question of procession of Holy Spirit. So we will discuss this in the later slide regarding Philocue. So this is a Philocue. You can see there is a Nicene Creed out here. In Nicaea, there was a creed discussed. Okay, this in this Nicene Creed, you can see one word. These three things are mentioned. Okay, these were later inserted by the Latin Church. Okay, I'll just read it out to you why it is called Philocue. So the first reason you can see in Latin, Philocue means and the sun. Okay, that is the meaning of Philocue. Now, in this Nicene Creed, it was mentioned, I believe in the Holy Spirit. Okay, the Lord, giver of life. Okay, giver of life, who proceeds from the Father. From the Father is the original version that that is followed by the Orthodox Church. Okay, and the Son was later on inserted by the Latin Church. Okay, that is called, that addition is opposed by the Orthodox Church. Okay, then we have this word, who with the Father and the Son is adored, glorified, who spoke through the prophets, and so on and so forth. So the dispute is also between this is called Philocue. Okay, and what had happened in the 6th century, you can see in the 6th century, late the Latin speaking churches added these words and the Son, the Philocue, and the Eastern Orthodox churches did not accept this addition in the Nicene Creed. Okay, so that is one of the major disputes between Orthodox Church and the Western Church. Now, this Philocue controversy can be explained through this diagram. You can see in Orthodox faith, we directly approach Eastern Orthodox faith. We directly approach our Father. Okay, the Father is the main source of the Holy Spirit. Okay, from the Father, the gift is given to the Son, and the Holy Spirit is the third aspect. Here in Catholic Church, Father and the Son are given the same same groundings. Father and the son are similar. Okay, father, who is the father, and the son have same powers. Okay, and the Holy Spirit has is the proceed from them. Okay, so Philoque is literally from the sun. We had spoken this earlier. This was added in the Niceo-Constantinople Creed. Okay, in Nicaea, this creed was all discussed. In Constantinople, it was approved. Okay, this creed, Nicene Creed, and the sun is not the original version. That is what it is written out here. Okay. So, this is the subject of controversy between the Eastern and the Western Christianity. Okay, and the Father, you can see this, the Father as the source. Okay, Father as the source and the origin of Trinity. The Trinity three concept is there. Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit is called Trinity. Okay, must also be the source and the origin of the Spirit, not the Son. Okay, so here in Orthodox, what we believe is that Father is the origin of source. Okay, in Eastern Orthodox Church, they believe Father is the origin of the Holy Spirit, and from the Father, the source is starting, and from the Father it gets to the Son, and from the Son also we can get the Holy Spirit. Okay, but the Father is the source of the Holy Spirit, not the Son. That is the dispute between the Eastern and the Western Church. Okay, Western Church insists that the Son communicates the Spirit together with the Father. So this is the stance given by the Catholic Church. Okay, that you can see Western Church insisted that the Son communicates the Spirit together with the Father, and the Spirit is sent from the Father and the Son. Okay, here Catholic Church is saying the Spirit of Holy Spirit is sent by the Father and the Son. Both are sending the Holy Spirit to us, whereas Orthodox Church is saying that it is not true, and um, the Father is the only source of the Holy Spirit, and from the Father it gets to the Son, and from the Son also we can get the Holy Spirit. But the source is the Father. That is the dispute. Okay. Now we will discuss in short what all councils had taken place and what is the um, uh, at which peak this conflict had gone. Okay, we will only discuss these points what are mentioned in the slide. Okay, in the slide you can see we had discussed this earlier in short. Okay, the Nicene Creed took place at AD 325. You can see over here. Nicene first council had taken place. Then you can see the second council at Constantinople. So they were first council, they had done some major decisions. Based on that, second council again some disputes were there. They had called a council at AD 381, AD 381 in Constantinople. Then again some disputes were there. Okay, at the third council in Ephesus in AD 431, a council was uh, called, and then the fourth council we had discussed this. This council had happened in Chalcedon in 451. So you can see all these councils were called to discuss and to peacefully resolve all the disputes in the presence of the emperor itself. But there were no resolutions or no consensus. The dispute only aggravated. In AD 104 AD, the patriarch means head bishop of Constantinople, Michael, the Patriarch Michael. Okay, uh, and in 1049 AD, in 1049, Pope Leo IX also issued excommunication against each other. So these two patriarchs and the popes they issued excommunication against each other. Okay, that first the patriarch issued excommunication against the pope, and then the pope in 1049 issued excommunication. Excommunication in a sense banishing from the church. Okay, removal from the church. Okay, so there was a quarrel between them and they removed it. So it is not true that this happened in this particular event and they quarreled and the church split. It is not so. It was a chain of events. That is why we were explaining through slides that it was a chain of events. Right, it started from 325. You can see the council, and till 1049 they were fighting against each other, and finally 1054 the church, Roman church, and the Greek church, Byzantine church is called Greek church, or the orthodox church, got separated from each other. Okay, so this is how they got separated from each other. So schism is a divide, final divide, okay, between the two churches. That is called schism, the great schism in which the Christian church splits. Okay, so in this is the final outcome, what you can see on the slide. Okay, 1054 finally the church split. Okay, the church split. Roman Catholic Church went with the West faction, and the Orthodox Church uh, supported the East faction. So the leader of the Roman Catholic Church is the Pope. You can see the Pope is the final authority, and in East, the Patriarch is the final authority. Okay, so this is how the finally the split took place, and they were separated into two. Okay, but primarily the Roman Catholic Church was in majority in the western side, so western faction they supported the western side, and the leader of the Orthodox Church is in Constantinople, the Patriarch, along with the bishops of the Eastern Empire. Okay, so the east and the west in this way got split into two. So this is how brief history of our church till the 12th century. So the consequences of the division, I need to specify this because once the split had happened, the ecumenical activities, the council, calling the council, and the ecumenical activities were disrupted, and the mutual relationship between the churches was shattered, but it activated missionary work. Okay, theological side, you can see differences between the Western and the Eastern churches. When the Western church added new faith classes like uh, prerogatory and the philocue, the Eastern churches denied them. Okay, Eastern churches rejected prerogatory and the philocue. Okay, and Eastern churches remained faithful to the undefined faith, unadulterated faith of the apostolic faith. Okay, apostles, what they had taught them, they stuck to that faith itself. Whereas Latin Church added prerogatory and the philocue in their creed. So these are the short points, and based on these slides, we can shortly describe each and every aspects. So 1054, the split had not happened due to the quarrel between the patriarch and the pope. It was a chain of events what took place. Okay, there are many events from right starting from AD 300 to AD 1054. Okay, so thank you for watching. That's it. Thank you so much. This would be extremely beneficial for you to understand this chapter number 16. Thank you so much.